I would like to preface this with saying I am sorry for my terrible camera quality. Uh, I really wanted to record this with my nice microphone, and um, my phone doesn't connect to it because it's an Android. Ah, anyways, I'm you Snapdragon, and here is what is Children of the Waning Star? If you've been on TikTok at all lately, you've probably seen a strangely quick rise to the fame of the Children of the Waning Star. They can be easily recognized by a blue fingerprint and a black star emoji, usually in their usernames or on their profiles somewhere. Now, lots of people know them or have heard of them or know a very basic bit of information, but I've decided I'd like to go a little further and find out what the heck really is going on here. And honestly, getting to look at a fascinating situation like this in a more nuanced manner was frankly eye opening. I got to learn a lot about people and social media, and I have a few thoughts I'd like to share on the Children of the Waning Star. Children of the Waning Star was founded when TikTok user Gigi Jarvis made a video saying she'd like to start a cult, and she asked for some ideas. This video gained an insane amount of traction, and her follow up videos did too. Honestly, Gigi herself has stated she started out at about 10 followers when she originally made the first video, yet at time of recording has 114.5 thousand. Frankly, if I was her, I'd be freaking terrified. I don't know how she's been able to remain calm and sensible throughout all of this. Anyways, after a couple videos, people decided that this cult would be recognized by the blue fingerprint and the black star emoji. Tons of people put it in their username, and as I scrolled through comment sections, I saw more and more of these little blue fingerprints. I only put it in my profile description, not my actual username. So when I started seeing weird edits and things getting kind of concerning, I was able to just take it out. A few hours later, I started getting a flood of videos on my For You page saying that I'm not with these crazy cultists, or that this cult joke is getting out of hand, or using the term cult was extremely insensitive of Gigi. All sorts of people saying lots of criticism. And that's when I decided to make this video. I thought, this is something that my brain is really interested in right now. Something that my brain could write or talk about for ages, because I find it fascinating. So I started doing a little microscripting in the car ride to band camp. And frankly, I'm not proud of my original thoughts. They were distrustful and biased. I'd only seen one true side of the story, besides saying these weird people were killing dogs and carving themselves. I decided I would make a video essay talking about how weird these weirdos were and how something started as an innocent fun joke turned out not only to be an insensitive joke, but also a terrifying visual of how social media works. So I might have decided to go undercover and join the cult. I made a second TikTok account under a false name and uploaded just a few videos so it didn't seem fake. By the time this is out, I have deleted it just because, it was just to see what was going on without wrecking my For You page. And by just looking through posts about Children of the Waning Star, or CWS for short, although that's not much shorter because WCU decided to be a special little sunflower and have three entire syllables. Anyway, sorry, I'm off topic. My point is, the cult became much more innocuous once I joined the other side. Now, I became very worried that I had somehow gotten brainwashed, so I talked to my friend very seriously about how it seemed just like a community of people who wanted a community. And she agreed that I was not brainwashed and just that I was taking a much more nuanced view of the situation. A few days after she had started receiving criticisms of the name cult, Gigi made a video saying she was going to rename her cult to a community to be more sensitive. And a few days later, she even made a video explaining what went wrong and how she didn't have anything to do with the weird stuff. It was like an apology video, but kind of explaining that she didn't really have that much to apologize for. That sounds really bad. I don't know how to phrase this. I will explain this later, I promise. So, what did she say about all these alleged animal sacrifices and carvings? I will link to her video because I can't say exactly what she did, but I can say she said a lot of the stuff she was dealing with personally, one on one, which I think was personally really great of her. A lot of people, when they get stressed out, they make a big stink about their problems on social media. And I think that she did the right thing every step of the way to show maturity, even if you disagree with me that she was in the wrong. I think anyone could agree that she handled this situation very maturely and adult like, something that you don't see very often on the internet. I personally think she did the right thing. Anyways, these were both pretty alleged and have now been kind of proven false, so what's the harm that's going on? Really? What's the harm? Psychosis. Lots of people that claiming that many people in this community have been undergoing cult psychosis. What is psychosis, you ask? Well, according to sources like the Journal of the American Academy of Psychiatry, Mind.org, and the LAOP Center, cult psychosis refers to a situation in which individuals within a cult exhibit symptoms like psychosis, such as delusions and hallucinations, often relating to a cult's beliefs and teachings. This, of course, was after Gigi mentioned creating an entity for their cult to believe in. In other words, what was originally intended to be a fun role play for Gigi's artist and role play and writer fans turned out to become very misunderstood. Lots of people made jokes like, oh, Gigi sacrificed herself to save us, or the entity chose me, or stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm dumb, but a lot of these people just came off to me as people making jokes because they wanted to, fit in with a new community and have these inside jokes. I sincerely doubt that anyone went through genuine psychosis, especially since Gigi never promoted any specific teaching. She just asked writers and storytellers and artists if they'd had any experiences, and it was a chance for them to do some art and have some creativity and free range. So, it doesn't really sound like people were undergoing psychosis, and if so, it was not directly caused by Gigi Jarvis. So, really, where is the harm in this situation? Because I'm struggling to find it. It sounds like a lot of people got confused. I think what really happened here wasn't a bunch of people undergoing terrible psychosis, although that is a real thing, and I do hope that more information about cults is shared because they're a terrible thing to go through. And I am not trying to lessen or minimalize anybody's genuine pain that they went through. It was that a lot of people saw a fun joke and they wanted to participate in it. And so they did. I've only been on TikTok for less than a month, and I have seen how so far how excited people are to be part of a community, be part of something bigger than themselves. And can you blame them? Humans are social animals. Oh, but don't worry, because some harm was done. I got to interview a TikTok user who stated that they had received death threats from people inside the cult. This, of course, intrigued me, so I asked him for the full story. And this person, he was so amazing. He made like a long, detailed video explaining his entire experience, and I cannot thank him enough for that. If he gives me permission, I will link his account in the description. Anyways, I got to hear the story. Um, who stated he first stated that at first the cult was a fun and great community and people were really fun to talk to. He'd see people with the symbols as their username and he'd get to connect with them because they shared this inside joke. However, he said things got really weird after an entity was decided upon and that people in their vent comments threatened the people who were upsetting him. It was a crude attempt to reassure, but nonetheless kind of scary. So, yeah, the people inside the cult, saw someone else inside the cult and they tried to reassure them, but they didn't really succeed because they were kind of threatening people. I don't know. And he started receiving threats from people outside of the cult because of the emojis in his name. He's a minor, and you can only change your TikTok username once every 7 days. So even if he had wanted to, which he did, he couldn't have, because that's just how TikTok works for some reason. He was a minor, and he was receiving death threats and other threats, and he should not have had to go through this. Moreover, there were other people who he claimed had psychosis, who were only getting worse because of people attacking them for the emojis in their usernames. So it sounded like people were getting upset for being attacked by some emojis in their usernames, which were associated with an insensitive joke. And yet, however, as soon as Gigi was made aware of this, she changed the name from cult to community. It sounded like some people got very opinionated because they got confused and they didn't want to see anything through their bias. I'm really glad that before I decided to run my mouth off online, I tried to look a little deeper. And I'm not criticizing anybody who didn't. I mean, I am a little, but social media is a very emotionally charged place, and it can often feel like people are less real when you don't get to look at them in the eye and in the flesh. However, nobody should be sending any sort of threats to a minor. And even if this was an innocent joke, which this person said that as soon as he told people, hey, that's not funny, I don't want that, that's not helpful, they all apologized. The people inside the cult apologized for their mistaken attempts at reassuring him. And like I said, even if the reassuring didn't work and had the opposite effect, intention is important. And it just sounds like the people outside of the community were the ones who were really being violent and angry and threatening. So, you may ask, what is Children of the Waning Star, and what is its deal? And let me give you an answer. Children of the Waning Star is a joke started by TikTok user Gigi Jarvis. She decided she wanted to create a cult. However, while her ambition of creating a cult was simply an ill placed joke, many people took a lot of offense. After creating a symbol and blowing up, Gigi and the cult began to receive a lot of hate for being, first off, insensitive to cult survivors, and second off, people were just being scared. However, the people that originally joined the cult were people in search of connection, community, and somewhere where they could have fun inside jokes. Thousands of people have emphatically stated they thought it was just a PFP cult, like the joke where everybody sets their profile pictures as Hiccup Haddock from How to Train Your Dragon. People who didn't get this joke got confused and offended really quickly because the internet is a forest and content and memes are wildfires waiting to burn through everything before people have a chance to move out of the way. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be Smokey the Bear and say, whoa, 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 maybe we can stop this by looking at it closer. Although Smokey would probably not recommend looking at a wildfire, it's not a perfect metaphor. Let me have my rhetorics. Anyways, sorry I got a little rambly and long winded. In short, the misunderstood creator immediately apologized and tried to fix anything that she had done that could hurt anybody. She is immediately apologetic and insanely thoughtful and kind and resourceful, and I think that there have been many situations where someone's made a joke in ill taste and they've gotten so terribly and violently hurt because the internet is a forest and the trees that burn down don't really watch who they're falling on. A similar story is the story of Justine Sacco. She made a really bad joke in terrible that was in terrible taste, and that when I read it I cringed so hard. And yet it was a joke and there was no ill intent. And she got completely harassed and attacked when she was swarmed at the airport. This thing is everybody does dumb stuff. Everybody accidentally says a slur because they didn't know it's a slur, and everybody makes terrible, cringy mistakes. But up until the internet, that was really kept between you and the people who were around you when it happened. and the people they gossiped with, but because of the internet, anything you say can be seen by literally anybody. And I know that that's been said, but literally any person could pick up their phone and see you do something dumb and make a mistake. Someone across the world, the person who lives next door, your principal. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think while celebrities have done terrible things, I mean, when it's not like outside of like hate crimes and terrorism and RAPE, it's usually just not a great thing that they did. And yeah, it's a crappy thing. But when you're in the public eye, everybody sees this bad thing they did and they are viewed as just a bad person because we see the bad things they do. Whereas the neighbor next door, I don't see the bad things he does. So of course I'm not going to think he's a terrible person. Sorry, I meant to make a quick definition of this and it got really out of hand. I am very long winded. And I really don't want to be part of the crusade against the internet because I believe the internet is a fascinating and amazing thing. It is so useful to learn about humans and other people and how we interact, and it's honestly just so convenient too. But really, to have a shorter definition of the Children of the Waning Star, it's a group of people who got out of hand because they spread over the internet way faster than anybody ever could have predicted. And people got confused and scared, where in reality, these were just people seeking for a community and an inside joke and to feel like they belong. So, I don't know, but maybe the next time you see something, try and look at it from the other side, especially if it's on the internet because that place is terrifying as heck. Oh, and one side note, this was shorter than I'd expected it to be. Like, I was expecting to kind of like have like a whole rant and like titled sections and stuff, but the hyperfixation was fading and I needed the motivation to make this, so I kind of just used my voice to text to make a script and then filmed this. Also, I ate dinner in the middle of this, so if the light level changed, seriously, that's my parents' fault. Blame them. But like, yeah, this was supposed to be like way more thoughtful and in depth. But you know, I needed I needed to get this done while I still had the motivation. I just got back from band camp like 4 hours before I started filming. So yeah. And trust me, I'm gonna find a way to both have good audio and good camera. Because if you saw my Warrior Cats rant, that was a trip. Anyways, I wish I had bloopers, but my bloopers are never funny. I just delete them. It's usually just I have like a little I can't English. TikTok is an interesting place. You will be seeing more opinions of mine that stem from things I saw on TikTok. Um, because it's so fascinating. It's like all these like little trends they like comment. No, no. I need to shut up. Sorry, I just want to keep talking. Join marching band. It's fun.